And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in our living room. It's I, John D, and Kanika, a.k.a. And Too Much Podcast. How you doing this morning?
I'm well, you?
I'm pretty good. It's been a minute since we've been out here. What's been going on in your life?
Nothing much. Yours?
Just doing summer school. And I'm enjoying it. I got another week. It's only a 4-day summer school week. So I'm enjoying these long weekends. And I enjoy being in there with the kids. I try to focus on, I guess, not necessarily the academics, even though I've convinced them that if they get that portion done, we'll enjoy the rest of the day. But I think that I understand more on how kids can learn at that age. So I'm just trying to learn how to help kids receive the message from their other teachers, because they're not going to have me forever, right? So I'm like, what could I do to convince them that the teachers that they're going to get has the same interest that I have, except they don't know how to say it right. So if they can go in with the intention and going to get what they're supposed to get and not get distracted by their appearance or how they sound, they can be more prepared as young adults. So that makes me feel really good about trying to figure out how I can convince these little kids to get what these adults are trying to give them. Yeah. Being proactive in that way. So, before I used to think about different teaching practices, but none of that matters if you don't know how to communicate with your audience. So I think that's been fun. That's what I've been learning this summer. And I feel like, trying to understand young kids' perspectives, because they say things that you think they understand and they have no idea. They just heard it on the radio.
Yes.
So it's like me realizing that even the kids that I was dealing with, they didn't know what they were talking about either. They just sounded like they knew what they were talking about. So learning that these kids are really kids, and a lot of times adults will automatically assume that these kids are more mature than they are when they're not.
Yeah, it's interesting they can use things in the correct context.
Correct.
And have no idea what
No idea at all.
They know how to put it in a sentence, though.
Yes, and that's in that part of comprehension I don't think people understand. That's why I feel like English language is very difficult. That's why looking at all the other languages that I've been dealing with, it's very difficult to get it wrong in other languages, but here it's so ambiguous because depending on the culture you're in, we made so many words that's supposed to mean this means something else. So you have no idea the context. Even if you do know the person, you don't know how serious it is to them.
That's true.
Somebody said, man, he's cold. And like, how cold is he? Is he the coldest, or is he just cold enough for you to say he's cold? It's so broad. But yeah, that's what's been going on with my summer. And getting prepared to go do this. Oh, you know what? I'm considering going to Nashville to pay my last respects to David Thornton. I don't know yet, because that's a long drive, and I just don't know if I'm up for it. But I've been trying to figure out if that's one of those things where I can look back and be like, I'm okay with not going, because I really do feel like driving in such a short period of time, that long of a distance, isn't healthy. And I think he would understand, but I'm thinking, am I being selfish, or is it something that I can do? So I'm still hopefully I can figure it out. I'm not in a rush to make a decision, but I would like to do the right thing.
I wonder, paying respects, does it really have to be in the form of putting on a suit?
No,
walking into a church and looking at a casket and sitting down.
I guess it's not really that. It's more so being able to see other people and how they viewed him, to see, because I know like the way that people talk about him, like
the posts have been beautiful.
Yeah, like majority, like the friends that I have, like it was so many things about how he would make you laugh and put a God Jesus scripture along with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it was all good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And and I understood all of that too, because a lot of that I was there for, and it's more so just to, because I don't see opportunities like that happening again, and then for his name, you know what I'm saying, outside of like people just, they're together and they'll mention them, but I feel like it'll be a good time to hear other people talk about those stories, because they were just the way that people typed on Facebook. It was like, just imagine if they were to talk about it, and then you could just hear how happy that he made them feel.
One person said, I met his laugh before I met him. And it's so true. It's so true. And even with us, if someone who knew us as kids or in college or as an adult talked about us, they could have a whole different perspective on who we were. So I could only imagine who David, I would love to hear who he was as a kid.
Yeah.
Oh, he was probably a handful. But also, going through those parts of life, it's nice to hear from other people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, just, I guess, trying to figure that out. And shout out to you too, David. It was so crazy because I just spoke to him, and I didn't, he gave me optimism, but I didn't believe it because I know what he's been going through, and he did mention a hospice. And typically when I hear hospice, I know that your body's probably completely shutting down and they have a better idea, and your will at this point is
to be comfortable in your passing.
Yeah. And yeah. I mean, I hate it that he like, nobody wishes their last 4 or 5 years of their life to go the way that he lived it. And I love this dude for real, because I was like, he was my adult best friend in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
most certainly.
And he was the only one, I guess I could say, like, who really understood that I wasn't really a mean person. Because he told me, he was like, I ain't gonna lie, John, people wonder why I still mess with you. I was like, really? I was like, they just don't understand. Like, they don't know that you don't do those things on purpose. You're just curious and you say things. And I was like, dang, I'm glad you understand. And then when I finally figured it out, his health was in decline, and by that time, like, it was just, I had no idea it could get to this so fast. It was like rapid, but he said he was going to write a book. He had a book, or he was writing a book, and I was like, what's it called? And he said, Still Breathing. Yeah. So, but shout out to him. Rest in whatever place you are, and know that I'm going to keep going hard for us, pimping.
All the peace.
Yeah. Anything you got on your brain?
Well, I'm curious, coming off of that, you've lost a few friends over the last year and a half or so.
Yeah.
We were talking about my mother is 71. She doesn't look it. But the closer we get to these higher ages, the less we feel like it's super old. Like someone said, someone who's 70 is super old. And I look at my mom, and she ain't that. And so.
And the person was older than us.
Yeah. But when I'm looking at you, and even thinking about myself, we're coming into those years where we're going to lose friends at a more
increased pace,
yes.
rapid rate. Yeah, definitely.
So what do you think about that? Like, are we old?
I don't look at it that way because I feel good.
Yeah.
Like mentally, I've never felt as good as I feel today. And I feel like I'm putting the right things in my body. So when I wake up in the morning, my body's not aching like when I hear people. Mm-hmm. So to me, maybe I'm in arrested development of the mind state of where I am health-wise. Mm-hmm. And when I watch people just fall, and you know, as you get older, people could say you're judging people, but if you're out of shape and you're older, you're more seasoned, you're either gonna have to lose the weight or you're gonna die soon. And you know, unfortunately, like you can just see the people. All my friends have died. That like it's either.
I mean, but sometimes it's not even.
No, I'm saying like.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying the ones through health is caused other things to break down in their body.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's either an accident or health. Mm-hmm. You know, and overall, like even if people dying from COVID, it's because their immune system was not being supported by bad eating practices or whatnot. And like,
well, it could be other things that impact their immune system, but yes.
Well, I agree, but I'm just saying that typically everybody's health is impacted by what they put in their body.
Oh yeah.
And at our age, the doctor is telling you to change your diet, you know, for the better, if you want to live longer. And, you know, I have these friends where they say, you know, you only live once. I say, you do, you're right. But you don't want to like go through pain because you don't know when it's going to be over.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine having like a remarkable 40-year career and then your next 40 years you're in pain because, and you like, I want to go. Because I do think about people who always complain about their body hurting. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to go through that.
I watched this woman, it was her 94th birthday. And they were singing happy birthday to her. And they said, happy birthday. She said, hopefully it's my last one. And everybody started laughing. But
she's serious. Look, you don't look. Check this out. Like,
you're not near 100 and not serious when you say that.
Like for real. Like you either looking forward to it or you don't. You know, you don't just say I want to die unless you like that. I don't want this anymore. Yeah. You know, so I just don't feel like I'm going to play around like that unless I'm really like if I tell you like, hey, I think it's that time. Like I'm tired. Yeah. Like I need you to know that like you need to empathize with me because I don't take this lightly. Yeah. Because I enjoy, like, just listen to me. I love living. I want to live to 160. So if I ever say, hey, this is my last birthday for real. Like, you know something changed. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so when I hear people like, my granny, she always gives thanks to the Lord for living another day, but she complains about her body hurting all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, if her body hurts every day and she gives thanks that she can wake up, like she wants to live. Yeah. You know? So to me, I feel like when somebody says,
like, I hope this is the last go round.
I can't do this anymore.
Hey, don't meet me here next year.
But yeah, like as far as your mother, like she looks great, you know, and I feel like when I look at people in their 70s, I just hope that, you know, we can move around, if not a little more gingerly, with some flexible footsteps without any assistance, you know, like, you know, because, I mean, she still travels. Yeah. And her bearings are all there when you speak with her. And I think that we'll be able to get there, but hopefully we'll be a little better because, you know, we have more information to reduce the chances of falling a little faster than others.
That's true.
Think about that.
A couple of things, I guess. So a couple of weeks ago, for you all to understand, I was in an accident and learned that I had a concussion, which it messes with my speech a bit. So, but we started talking about the doctor said, you know, for me to be very careful because if I happen to fall, because I don't have very good balance right now, but if I happen to fall or hurt my head again, it could cause permanent brain damage rather than me just recovering from this concussion. And when we were talking about that, I think yesterday or the day before, and then you were like, well, imagine football players.
Yeah.
When we were in Georgia, football is really big in Georgia. And when Dallas turned 3, we took him for football practice. We wanted him to try. Dallas ended up taking one of the cones over to the baseball field and laying in the sand, but they were like really serious. Kids were running with little parachutes behind them, and like they were real. And the thought of putting Dallas in a position to play that sport and experience what I'm experiencing, or even worse, like I was shaken up in a car, like somebody's full force body coming and knocking me down. I don't really know what that would feel like, but this don't feel good. And so it makes me think of those who do suffer these types of injuries, whether they're our age or even younger, if they're athlete, and it's like your body is breaking down. Like the way I move now, I feel so old. The way I stand up, and if I can't get my balance, I feel like, damn, am I old? Like, is this what, and I know I'll recover. I know that it's not all the time. It's not going to be like this all the time. But it's even in the accident, in the moment, and just trying to make sure that I made it. You know what I'm saying? It makes me think of the length of life.
Yeah.
But David's passing really made me think of the length of life, because he was just like young and vibrant and excited. And one of our friends posted about him, and she said they didn't go home for Christmas, and they went to dinner, and he said, you want to go to Ethiopia? And she was like, yeah, like spring break, what you thinking in the summer? He said, it's a flight that leave tomorrow at 6 a.m. And then they were like, all right. And they just disappeared, right? She said it was the best trip she had ever taken. And it's just, all of this is kind of making me feel like, what's old? And are we really supposed to live our life like you only live once? What constitutes you really living your life to the fullest? Like, and then those last 5 years, they were a struggle. Did he feel like it was worth it? Like, there's so many. Now I feel like my age, if I were more of an elderly person, if this is the life I would live, that would really bother me. Like, I want to be vibrant and active like my mother, and so that's why I wanted to ask you if you felt like we're getting old, we're at that point where we're losing friends at a greater pace, and not from freak accidents or incidents, but sometimes it's just because we're getting over there and our bodies and our choices are catching up with us.
Yeah, you're right. Like that's. I mean, I don't feel old at all. Like I I don't think about it as much as. I don't think about it at all, to be honest, unless somebody's talking about going to the gym and they're our age. Rue sent me a Instagram thing that said it was an African dude being interviewed. He said, "What do you do for a living?" And he's huge, right? He said, "I'm Jim." He said, "You can't say I'm Jim. That is not a place of work." Like, that's what he is. He's I'm Jim. But yeah, like, I just can't imagine. Like I said, our bodies breaking down regardless, just due to age. Yeah. So I just feel like I don't think about how I feel like right now. Like I vaguely, I'm like, I remember having those tough nights from drinking a lot, and then I have to go to work, and I just made that my baseline of this is what I feel like. And I was like, even though I knew I had to get up, I didn't like how I felt throughout the day. Like, you have to use the restroom to get all that stuff out of your system and all of that. Now, when I get up, it's so like, it's wonderful. It's like you're getting up to do what you want to do, and it's like a different type of feeling I can't explain. Yeah. And like, even when my youngest days, I don't think I ever felt like the way that I feel when I get up now. Even though like my body could take it, I was like, dang, just imagine if I could feel like this when I was younger, because I just enjoyed getting up, working on this thing that I know is going to develop. But, when you're young and you don't have any guidance, you beat your body up from all kind of foreign substances.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look, when we went to the emergency room, and it was so funny when he was talking to us about going home and what I need to do. He said, any drugs, any alcohol? I said, no. And you were like,
wine. She's like, yeah, please don't drink any wine.
Oh, look, the idea of not being able to have a glass. Like, I get up, well, I'm with you on the drinking a lot. I remember being able to drink a lot. And then at night, I would take 2 Tylenol in the morning and I'll be perfectly fine.
I never did that, so that's crazy.
Yeah, it don't look like that no more. So wine works well for me, but now, not even having that, I'm just sitting here like, my mornings are good though. It's funny, the little things you get used to and you think that's your baseline, and then you realize you remove something. It's like, oh no. Yeah, you feel much better. Even like scrolling on the phone at night. I was really big on, like, I would be in the bed for like an hour and a half, 2 hours scrolling on my phone until I was really ready to go sleep. And then I was in a training called emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. And one of the suggestions for one of my weaker areas was to stop doing that. And so I had gone like months without doing it. And it made my sleep better. Everybody.
So you recognize the difference. Mm-hmm. That's good to hear, because I never asked you that.
Yeah, it's I guess I feel like I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep, and so I'm gonna scroll until I'm like exhausted. But truthfully, it's just like the idea of turning off anything that has to do with a screen, and then when we go in the room, our room is really dark, and so going in there, it's really your whole body be like, we're about to go to bed. So it actually makes me falling asleep, it feels better. So yeah, but look, I didn't mean to make this a "are we old" type of thing, but yeah.
No, I think this is something that our age group needs to take a little more seriously, especially people who watching our age group. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to give bad practices at our age, because people below us that don't have anybody to look at, they're watching whoever's closest to them. And if we don't have any better practices, why are the people younger that don't have any guidance supposed to get better?
That's true.
Yeah. So I feel like this was a great thing to dive into, because I don't think this is like regular conversations in anybody's life.
Well, I always say that adolescents, and we know adolescents, they have that invincibility factor. They feel like they're invincible. That won't happen to me. I'm going to make it, blah, blah, blah. And, but I don't necessarily think that mind frame actually stops. When I think about eating and drinking in my older years, how much drinking can I tolerate and drive or not? And you shouldn't be at all. You know what I'm saying? All of the invincibility things are kind of slipping away from me. Last year I went to my doctor and I got put on a medication. And she's like, you have to do this, this, and this, and then we can wean you off. But then you start to feel like I'm at that point where people giving me pills, and my life is changing and I'm aging and I feel less invincible. I don't feel, I really see my mortality a little bit more now. And it's weird to be here. because I can still see myself when I was just floating around thinking that I was okay,
Yeah.
you know? And getting back to our friend, he definitely lived his life to the absolute fullest until he couldn't. But I really want to prolong that. I want to make it a little bit further. I want to see my grandchildren. I would like to see a couple generations after me, a few generations after me. It would be great. But I don't want to be here. And that's the other thing. I don't want to be here and suffer. Like, I don't want to be here and ache every morning when I get up. I want to be able to live. So.
What is living, though?
I guess I want to be able to, like, when I think of your granny, she's like shut in the house most of the time. It's hard, it's painful to move around and get out and get you into the car and get you out of the car and do, you know, I want to be mobile. And I know my great aunt, I love her to death. And she's about the age of your grandmother. And she doesn't move around a lot either. Actually, when I got in the accident, I was on my way to see her. And when I think about her, she says, my hands hurt from, you know, the arthritis. You know, when you talk to them, you're going to spend like the first 10 minutes talking about the ailments, right? Before you get to any other conversation. And I believe their life is precious, and I definitely wouldn't want to be in a world where they're not there. But I also think to myself, if I, you know, when my body breaks down, how long am I gonna, like, what is quality of life? You know what I mean?
So what do you think you could do to ensure that you can at least increase that? Like, what do you think you could do so that, because to me it sounds like it's a concern.
It is. I think there are things I could definitely do to manage my health. I just don't. One of the things that requires absolutely nothing of me is I'm a little nervous with the idea of driving. So I'll just have you drive me everywhere. I'm driving Miss Daisy. But, you know, I don't know. I guess I really need to take stock of, okay, so where are your problems? And what is it that you can really do? Because the last couple of weeks and not being able to move, and when I get up, I feel like I'm on a fall, or like I can't even walk the dogs. I can't do any of that stuff. And it is really making me think of, I'm on the track of being like this in my older years by the way that I'm living now. Do I really want that? Because this might have been a really great experience for me, because I got a snapshot of
what it could look like if.
Yes.
Yeah.
Understanding what it is when you can't really move around well, like our elders are doing. And I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. Let me go run and do XYZ. I can't.
And just imagine, like, it could be worse.
Yeah. And I'm very thankful.
Like, you're functional.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. Just, you know, speech a little bit.
I can dig it. Like, I appreciate you sharing it, because, like, I didn't know that that's something you had been thinking about. Like, because to me, I feel like some people will get a consequence and don't learn from it.
Yeah.
And they'll talk about it, but they don't know the steps on what they need to do. But if this is getting you to think about it, I feel like you're a step closer to not living the life that you're worried about.
Yeah. My mom had to help me move around this week. If anyone has ever been helped by a 70-year-old, it's very humbling, because you think it, you know, it's supposed to be the other way. It's not.
No doubt. Shout out to her, because she was definitely concerned.
Hey, that woman was doing all the stuff for me. All of it. She was like, everybody has been great. You know, even the kids, I appreciate them. Like, our daughter is definitely a police officer. I feel like that's really where she's supposed to be, because she stayed on top of me this week. And my son is like, we have a very interesting relationship. Like, he just likes to be near me somewhere. And so I've always been watched over. But I feel like I'm at an age where I'm still supposed to be caring for and not being cared for. So, and I might be on the fast track to that with my current practices. So maybe I need to be a little bit
cognizant of what you're doing.
Yes.
For sure.
And intentional about the things that I do now.
No doubt. Well, I can help you. I'm just the way that you want to be helped.
Oh, okay.
Not the way that I used to help.
Hey,
okay.
Yeah. When I was pregnant, this man was like, I said, I don't want to gain weight. He said, well, then let's walk every day. And then he was power walking. I was stressed out. It couldn't even make. Yeah, let's do it according to how I can handle it. Okay.
For sure. But anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
David.
Shout out to David Thornton for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody that was blessed enough to be touched by him, condolences, and hopefully you got some type of message on his passing for you to grow as a person. Don't let his death be in vain. Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you cannot control. GATA. Get after that action, or that action will get after you. Be great on purpose. Boom.